We'll just start it this week. But welcome to Operation Experiments.
A monster movie cliche now, but nuclear testing unleashes a terrible monster upon civilization. This movie was super influential.
Yeah, and it was probably more famous for inspiring Japan's Ishiro Honda and Toho Studios to put kind of their stamp on the genre with Gojira a year later. And a strong case could be made that this is the first movie to combine the nuclear bomb with the unleashing of a giant monster. This one's freed from the ice by the blast, fully formed, presumably, versus being created from or growing because of the radioactive nature of the weapon. But nonetheless, it kind of goes in the history of horror movies. You got ghost movies dominating the early to mid 40s. Then after World War II, you kind of had alien invader movies taking over right up until this one kind of changes the game. It's the groundbreaker, like we talked before in season 1. And this really kickstarts the whole giant monster running amok through downtown, wherever.
Yeah.
But this movie deserves to be known on its own merits.
I say there are things better left unsolved.
Who knows what waits for us in nature's no man's land?
Impossible, unbelievable, fantastic. But I tell you, it could happen. It could happen. It could happen. It could happen.
Yes, it could happen. For various authorities believe that buried somewhere under the polar ice cap, in a state of suspended animation, are the awesome creatures, the leviathans that roamed the earth at the dawn of time. And under certain conditions, a nuclear explosion could free one from his icy tomb. Then, guided by instinct, the beast would come back to the caverns of the deepest Atlantic where it was spawned. An armored giant, wreaking his prehistoric fury on modern man and his puny machines. Cities would be terrorized by the cruel intruder from the past. Populations crazed and panicked with fear by its destructive force. Granite and steel would crumble. Soldiers and their weapons would be powerless before the onslaught of the beast. The beast. The beast. The beast from 20,000 fathoms.
Herald Square, 34th Street, Broadway. Every section of the city is guarded. No one knows where the monster will strike next.
Another one, Colonel?
No.
You know where the radioactive isotope is?
No, but if it can be loaded, I can fire it.
I'll load it. Just remember one thing. This is the only isotope of its kind this side of Oak Ridge, so you can't miss.
So let's get into it. The movie starts with a narrator telling us about a top-secret government operation going on in the Arctic.
Operation Experiment. And speaking about Fathoms, that's the most unfathomable part of this movie. The name of the operation responsible for freeing our dinosaur. The Atomic Energy Commission was so lazy naming this operation. That's the best they could come up with.
A group of scientists and military men are conducting bomb tests. Huge sections of ice cracks and cascades into the ocean as the giant fireball extends skyward. A group of 4 men led by Dr. Nesbitt, interesting name, go out to examine the effects and encounter a now freed giant prehistoric creature that had been frozen into the glaciers. That's a pretty cool way to unleash.
And actually, in the second Godzilla movie, Godzilla Raids Again, he's in an iceberg. So this movie is really influential on the whole Godzilla franchise.
Nesbitt is flown to a New York hospital for treatment. for the incurably insane.
Watch out for Lucy while you're in there, Nestor.
Yeah. Of course, no one believes his story about the monster until it sinks a fishing boat off the coast of Nova Scotia and crushes a lighthouse on the northeastern coast.
I've always wanted to go to Nova Scotia.
Dr. Elson and his pretty assistant. What?
You said she was pretty. I agreed with you. You're trying to get me into trouble.
Dr. Elson and his pretty assistant, Lee Hunter, join Nesbitt's crusade, and Elson goes down into the Hudson River.
That's on the west side of New York City.
To poke around. He doesn't get to poke around for long, and the Radosaurus...
Not a real dinosaur, by the way.
Yeah, thanks for
You know how I know that? Super into dinosaurs when I was your age.
The fake dinosaur breaks ground along the docks of Manhattan and then tears up the town, knocking down buildings, stomping cars, chewing on the police, racking up an impressive amount of damage.
This thing kills a lot of people. It's a little surprising for a movie of this period. Then the army gets into the action. They set up an electrified barricade and manage to injure it, right, with a rocket launcher. So that was cool. Get these little glimpses of it as the sparks are electrifying it.
But that turns out to make things worse for everyone because its blood is poisonous. Wait, Dad, which came first, Alien or this?
This is black and white, aliens in color, so that should give you a tip-off. But yeah, I wonder if this influenced Dan O'Bannon when he was writing Alien.
So his blood makes people sick.
Mm-hmm. So they can't kill it.
Or they.
It can't spread its blood around.
Wait, so how are they going to kill this thing? Think fast, because he's back and barging his way into the Coney Island amusement park.
They come up with a viable plan. They climb aboard the Cyclone. That's what the roller coaster was called when I went there. One time I went there.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's a pretty famous roller coaster. I went on a very weird date one time at Coney Island. I'll tell you about it later.
What date?
Another bonus episode.
No.
But they want to get eye to eye with the monster, so they have to get up to its level. And then they shoot a radioactive isotope into it that's hopefully going to kill it from the inside while neutralizing the toxins in its bloodstream.
Let's talk recommended age.
So let's talk about it, how much I know about dinosaurs.
No.
You know why? I was so obsessed with dinosaurs when I was little that, you know what I used to tell the girls who I sat with at the table in third grade?
I'm a big dork.
But no, I used to say, oh, you know what I'm doing after school today? I'm going to dinosaur school. Yeah, I study dinosaurs in my spare time. I thought that made me sound cool.
No.
Yeah,
Makes
turns
you
out
sound more like a
turns
dork.
out not. Yeah. But I did learn a lot about dinosaurs. And dinosaur school was just me surrounded by books that I got out of the library on dinosaurs. Nama would take me to the library like every week, and I would just get more and more books about dinosaurs. They would just clutter up my room.
Now can we talk recommended
Yes,
age?
now we can talk recommended age.
Yay, we're done with this story.
This will be interesting because it's an old movie, so you would think like a little kid could handle it, but there are some pretty dark scenes of public panic and people tramping all over each other to get away from this thing.
There's not that much violence. There's just enough. There's not that much gore. There's no nudity, no language.
Well, the Radosaurus is naked.
Oh.
Yeah, so what would you say? I would say the only part that might be a little tough for a kid to take is the city panic scene where people are like, they're trampling each other to get away from it. You really get
Just
like
at concerts.
You get a insight into human nature about how people living in a city, and we're part of a society, we're all getting along. Second something starts going wrong, it's every man for himself. And there are scenes like that in this, and it's a little disturbing. But what would you say recommended age?
I say either 9 or 10.
Yeah, I would say 10, just because it does get a little dark sometimes. So go watch, unless you're balmy. That's a line for the movie.
Enough
but,
about that.
oh, hey, before you go, and in case you never come back, I just want to thank Mr. Matt Gorley over at With Gorley and Russ, which is a fantastic and hilarious horror movie podcast that anyone listening who isn't just here because Matt gave us a shout out on our Patreon site, you should definitely go listen and subscribe to that podcast.
With Gorley and Rust, that's
Yeah.
the name of it. It is really good. I really like it. And it's also really funny, like Dad noted.
Oh,
right,
let's
go watch.
Wait. Before that, let's
God.
check our downloads because they gave us a shout
yeah.
out, and our downloads started going through the roof. So thank you guys, and we're gonna check it live. Well, it's live for us, not live for you guys. But let's see.
Right.
Here we go. Ready? Drum roll. Can you give me a drum roll?
298.
We're so close to 300 downloads.
Please.
Anyone out there? 2 more people.
Please.
Anyway,
Be
go
those
watch.
people.
We'll talk to you soon. It was a little disappointing that we weren't at 300.
Yeah. It really is. Welcome back. Hi.
Now, Serling, not the first time we've seen a big monster wreaking havoc through the streets of New York, is it?
Not the first time I've seen it. King Kong saw it there.
Yeah, so 2 classic movies where man's reckless nature is exhibited in 2 different ways as the triggering point for mass destruction. In King Kong, it was just man's need to explore and conquer. And in Beast, I guess it's the same thing, but it's done with nuclear bombs instead of those gas bombs. Remember the denim throws to knock out King Kong and take him to New York? So 2 kinds of bombs, but very different. And this is also based loosely, in the credits I think they say, inspired by Ray Bradbury short story called The Foghorn. Movie came out in 1953, so Serling, take it away. What other movies came out? I would imagine we're still in the alien invasion horror movie genre here. So what have we got?
Well, we have Robot Monster, which was in 3D.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah,
Terror Street.
but that's an alien movie.
Yeah. Terror Street.
Terror Street never. She lives on Terror
Dad,
Street.
no, this is not. This is not a singing podcast.
On Terror Street.
I'm just gonna move on. Catwomen of the Moon.
Kitschy Women in the Moon.
And then we have a classic, House of Wax.
Oh, House of Wax, Vinny P.
Yay!
That was also in 3D. Remember the ping pong guy?
Yeah, the
paddle guy.
Bum.
That was the most terrifying part of the movie. It's going to hit me. They gave him so much time in that movie. They have like 7 minutes of the ping pong paddle guy, just batting
boing,
the
boing,
ball at
boing,
the screen.
boing.
Show off the 3D effects.
It came from outer space.
Alien invasion movie. That has the guy from Attack of the Crab Monsters in it. You know, the guy who sacrifices himself at the end. He's in it. Came from outer space.
Scared Stiff.
Don't know that one.
Glenn or
Sounds
Glenda?
scary, though. Glenn or Glenda, that's a Ed Wood classic bad movie.
And now we have another alien, Invaders from Mars.
That was remade by Tobe Hooper, the guy who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was remade in the 80s.
The War of the Worlds, which
Another
is...
alien invasion movie, classic. So as predicted, we're in the throes of the alien invasion movies, but this comes along and it changes everything. Let's talk pluses. What did you like about it?
Good explosions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the effects were good.
I loved the Arctic set, how the glaciers started falling down on the crippled.
You know, the sets are impressive for a relatively low budget movie.
They were on a low budget.
What did you say?
A low budget.
I thought you said that.
I liked the army's walk.
The what?
The army walk while they're walking down the streets.
Oh, following the blood?
Yes.
After they injure it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's so silent, and it's really well shot.
And then you start seeing them like falling because they're getting sick from the exposure to the blood. Yeah, that was a cool scene. I like that you get to experience the monster in a variety of settings. So you first see it through a blizzard, then it's under the water, then it finally, you see it pounding around in Manhattan.
I liked the final showdown, the final climax at the amusement park.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And when the roller coaster's on fire as the beast is in its final death throes, it holds up.
What was it called?
What? Oh, Coney Island.
Coney Island.
Yeah. I like that the thing's blood is contaminated with the prehistoric viruses. The point where it's killing even more people the more you injure it. That was cool and clever and new.
Also, I'm really proud of this. There are none SGS moments. I'm so happy.
Well,
Dad, no.
We'll get to that. I have a slightly different take on that. The stop motion is pretty killer.
Oh, yeah.
Look, if you're not Serling spotlighting the great Ray Harryhausen,
I
let me
am.
know right now.
I
because
am.
I will. Okay. The rampage on the city sequence is amazing.
yes.
And a pretty famous kill, the reloading policeman. Not
yeah.
saying it's my coolest kill yet.
I know my coolest.
Not time for that.
I think I know what yours is.
But actually, the scene with the policeman, that scene got cut in a lot of cities by the Hays Code because they thought it was too disturbing for audiences. So, and I think when it was first shown on television, they didn't include that scene. But then when they released it on video and DVD, they put the scene back in. Anything else you like?
Nope.
I just wanted to mention, so when they're at the amusement park and they get the sharpshooter, you didn't recognize him, but you really like him in another movie that he did. It's Lee Van Cleef.
Who?
He's in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. He's Angel Eyes.
Oh my god,
He's
I
the
almost
bad.
remembered that. Yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
And interestingly enough, the good from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Clint Eastwood, plays a very small part in another atomic monster movie, Tarantula. He plays a jet fighter pilot who blows up the tarantula at the end. So the good and the bad were both in atomic monster movies. I don't know if Eli Wallach was ever
What
in
about
an
the
atomic
ugly?
Yeah. I don't know whether he was. But that's kind of a cool little fact. It's time to flip on the Serling Spotlight.
Yay. All right, my Serling Spotlight is Ray Harryhausen.
Obviously on this.
Oh, yeah. He grew up in Los Angeles, acquiring a love for
Like you.
dinosaurs and fantasy at a very young age.
Like you.
Harryhausen's inspiration was Willis O'Brien. He was Ray's mentor, teaching him how to do the stop motion.
Yeah, Willis O'Brien famously did the stop motion for King Kong.
Yeah.
He was a master
and
taught Ray Harryhausen how to be a master.
Clash of the Titans, Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah, that was one of his last movies.
That, my friends, is the end of the Serling Spotlight.
Let's turn off the
for now.
spotlight and talk
Yay.
minuses.
All right, I have a huge one. They showed too much of that monster too soon. I do not like it in movies when they do that because it makes it less scarier for when you see it at the very end. It should have revealed it at the end.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of Jaws, right? Like
Yeah.
in Jaws, you don't see the shark, you just feel its presence. You see a shadow, you see a fin. Here, they show you the whole thing right up front. And
Right in the beginning.
yeah, it takes the anticipation away. And it also shows, when you show too much too soon, and then you have a big chunk in the middle where you're not seeing it, you start to feel like, oh, the pace of this movie is slow. But it's a really quick movie, but it's just their decision, like you said, they showed too much too soon. The SGS moment, the only thing I would say would be, we both had some reactions during those crowd scenes. Remember when the blind man falls over and the crowd tramples him? Like, we were like, wow.
Serling got sad.
Yeah, we got like sad or
It's
surprised.
a GGS.
All right, so we got an S moment. What's your coolest kill?
Let's say it together. 3, 2,
2,
1.
1.
The lighthouse.
Policeman.
Oh.
Jinx. Oh, yes! I get the rest of the podcast all to myself. So listen, guys, I was telling you about dinosaurs earlier. Let's really get into my childhood now. No, you're unjinxed, Serling. So you're going to say the lighthouse, the two guys in the lighthouse.
Yeah, because
That was great.
I loved that they were running down and the monster bit off the very top of the lighthouse, and it just had a scrambled staircase.
The spiral staircase,
Yeah. And it's just hanging out the edge, like
It's
the
a really
guts pouring out.
cool sequence.
Yeah.
Because it probably thinks it's another beast, tries to attack it. So it pounds on that thing, and then you see it leaving and going back into the ocean. And yeah, the spiral staircase is twisted off and still jutting upward from the wreckage. And it's
Completely demolished.
very effective scene. And you get a little sense of the characters, the two guys who are in the lighthouse. And, you feel a little bad for them. You definitely feel worse for the victims in this movie than you do for the monster, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's different from this movie than King Kong, because at the end of King Kong, you feel really sorry and bad for what King Kong goes through. This monster is just pure savage animal, and by the end, you're like, it's probably good that this thing's been eliminated as a threat from humanity, right?
Yeah.
Fight, flight, freeze. Just a little taste. We don't have to play the whole thing every time.
All right. So, for fight, we have Nesbitt. Okay. You know, because obviously he's the main person. He's
the protagonist.
Yeah, that's the word. For freeze, we have Your Coolest Death, a.k.a. the policeman.
Well, he fights and freezes. He fights 6 times, and then he's had his 6. But then he freezes when he's reloading.
Yeah.
So he fights and freezes, and then dies.
For flight, Jesus, Dad. For flight, we have everyone.
Everyone in the city.
Everyone runs for the hills.
Except for that poor blind man.
Oh, he gets knocked over.
He gets flighted over. And those 2 little kids.
Oh, the kids. The kids don't even know what's going on.
All those jerky businessmen running out of Wall Street,
Bye.
running right past the kids. And people in 1953 Manhattan, apparently, not too concerned with protection of the species.
Yeah. What are our tomatoes looking like today, Dad?
What do you think our tomatoes looking like? Or what do you think Rotten Tomatoes gave this movie?
72 or
No.
60s?
No.
80s?
Yeah, keep going.
81?
91.
No.
Yeah.
I would have given it at least 72, maybe.
At least or at most?
At best.
At best. Yeah. Well, apparently you're not a professional movie critic like these guys, because they gave it the same as Star Wars Last Jedi.
I can see that.
Avengers, Marvel's Avengers. There's another horrible movie called The Avengers. Encanto, Inside Out 2.
I can see that.
The recent box office phenomenon. Bone Tomahawk, which is a movie that I just watched that I really liked a lot. Reservoir Dogs, also got a 91%. And the classic movie Network. 92%.
Ooh.
Jack Black.
School of Rock?
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that.
And one of your recent favorites, Nimona. That got 92, so that's 1% better than Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. And she's like 20,000 beasts in that movie. Yeah. She's shapeshifter. And then the horror movie from a few years ago, Pearl, which was really cool. And one under this on Rotten Tomatoes, Lego Batman, which we also just watched pretty recently. So now let's get to, maybe we should, in addition to a fearometer and a funometer, maybe we should have like an influence or impactometer. Because this movie would score very highly on that.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 7 or an 8, actually.
I would probably give it an 8 or a 9 on the influenceometer. And you're going to give it a what?
8.5.
8.5. All right. How about on the fearometer?
2. Not that scary. What about you?
I'm going to go 3.5 because of all the terror in the street stuff. Because I thought that was really effective.
I can see that.
All right, funometer.
3.5 because it's not that bad, but like I said, they showed too many shots of the monster too soon.
But did that take the fun away for you? I guess maybe.
It makes it less scary, and I like it in horror movies where you get to be scared because then you're like, oh, I wanna see this again because I got scared.
Yeah,
it made an impact.
Give me a taste, but don't fill me up too soon.
Yeah.
I'll give this a 6 on the funometer. Because I do think the stop motion stuff is a lot of fun to watch. You get that final showdown at Coney Island. That's really fun. I like that you see... What?
Can I change mine?
Yeah.
4.
4. Okay, cool.
I'll give it a 4.
I like that you see the monster in the daytime and the nighttime. So you get a lot of monster in this. It must have taken Ray Harryhausen a lot of time to do this. Because it's move an arm a little bit, click a frame, move it a little bit, click a frame, move it a little bit, click a frame.
Yeah. I think it looked pretty good.
It looked great. He did amazing work.
Are we on our next time?
But before next time, you want to check our downloads? So we checked it
Yeah.
earlier in the episode. Let's see
How
where
many we got?
we've gotten. So we had, where were we before?
298, I believe.
Yeah, we were just under 300. So I'm going to hit refresh on this.
Let me see. Oh my God.
Say it.
332.
332 downloads. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Matt and Paul. And thank you all of you who checked us out based on their recommendation. What do we got next time?
Flap, flap. Flap, flap, flap. Flappity, flap, 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 peck, peck. Flap, flap.
Okay, I think we got it.
Next time on ddshpod.com. Like, subscribe, review, write us an email,
Spread
comment.
us around.
Download so we can hit 400.
Toodles poodles.